What's going on, guys? My name is Joshua Smith with the Home Agent Group. That's Dexter laying on the bed back there. We are going to be doing a quick sort of a market update. Really, I want to talk about motivated sellers. It seems to be the theme of the market. And I'm going to use other people's information because I think these guys have probably the strongest handle of anybody that I personally watch. And especially this one guy in particular. His name is Ethan Flynn. He's a CPA, does real estate, but that analytical approach, that analytical brain is something that I think is really valuable, and he's got a lot of great takeaways. Specifically, he brought up an article with the Tennessean that there's I don't know who was interviewed in this story. Doesn't really matter. Probably a real estate agent, I think, is who they're talking to. Market analysts or real estate agents, lenders, those kinds of people. That's who this is addressing. The article is stating that Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, Nashville in particular, is still super hot market. Don't wait, buy now. That kind of salesy stuff. Nobody likes that stuff. This quote is really interesting, and he uses it to sort of segue into his information. I think it's got some really important, some interesting little tidbits in here. The quote is this: "One data point I did last month was during the last 2 weeks of March, 16% of homes closed above list price." That sounds great. 16% of homes closing above list price. Kind of leaves out all the information, as he points out, that points toward how many homes closed below list price. Now, what she is saying is that data point, 60% of homes closing above list price, tells you prices are going up. If you're anticipating prices will go down if you wait, that's not the story. Can't say I disagree with her, that if you wait, prices will go down. I think that's too predictive, I guess. It's too hard to predict what a market's going to do. It's hard to know what the rates are going to do, which dictates what buyers can do, which dictates ultimately how many buyers are going to be on the market and what they're going to be interested in spending money on. Right? Real estate is an investment. We all know this. It's a very important investment. Savvy investors are going to try to get the biggest bang for their buck. There's a lot of different ways to work the money into these deals. And so from a market information standpoint, what I'm looking for is how much inventory is on, how long is it staying on. And then in this particular article, and as he points out later in this video, how much homes are selling for according to their baseline, their list price. Now, just quick information about the listing prices, and people that watch this may know this. You can skip ahead a few seconds, but basically, if you don't know, as a real estate agent, I'm going to get my list price when I go to list a home from comparable market data, comparable home sales. When I list a house, I'm only looking right now in particular, really at the last 3 months. Appraisers are going to look at the last year of information. They're going to look at, what happened within a 2-mile radius of this house, not cross a main thoroughfare. All that information is important. But if I look within a 2-mile radius of what's sold that looks like this house in the last 3 months, same kind of size, yard size and all that other stuff, and then you put that next to how much these homes are selling for over those last 3 months, I see a lot more comparable information between 654, right? This looks like a lot better, more comparable information than if I go back to a year ago when these numbers were completely reversed. So I don't know how other agents do this. I know that I've spoken with other agents about how to list. I get calls about my listings all the time. And when I'm putting an offer on a house, I call listing agents and buyer's agents all the time to find out what their offer was that got accepted when that house went under contract, so that I can look and see what's active on the market and what people are actively taking in the area that my buyer's looking in. Or for the listing, what buyers are getting houses for in the areas that I'm listing in. Make sense? So if we look at this information, this is a really important data point, because you can see this is like a chain of DNA right here. This is not what's typical in market information. This is a really interesting graph. 62%, this is this time last year, 4, 5, 6, 7, so April, May, June, July of last year, we hit a peak between May and June of 62% of homes were selling above list price. And then conversely, it looks like they were down below, even around these like teens mark, below 20% for that same time range, were selling below list price. Okay, so the meters crossed, the lines crossed around August of last year. This was around the time that I saw a lot of buyers come off the market, and I think that's what really affected these listing prices coming way down. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and finish this information out right here, but 62%, like in February it was, we hit a 62% of homes were selling below list price, and only 12% were selling above list price. Now these numbers started to increase, so 23% back in April, we hit a peak of 23% of homes selling above list price. It looks like we're about even for, we're in the middle of June right now. Now we're at the end of June at the moment. But then if you go and you look at this, mid 40s, we're still almost half of the homes on the market are selling for under list price at this point. The blue line is above, the orange line is below. I don't know if I mentioned that before. So you can see from this information, and I think hopefully you can tell how important this is. Now, this trend right here, I could have told you that was happening, but I didn't have any data to back it up. So this guy, I follow him a lot because I want to know how he's looking at things, because he's a great analyst, and I use this as a part of my information. I think it's important to go and seek out the information that's going to help best inform you and not give you, the feels, I guess. We've got so many people out there saying fear-mongering, basically, and saying that we're in the middle of a market crash and blah, 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 blah. What happened was interest rates changed. We all know this. They affected how much people could spend on homes. That affected how many people could buy them. Now, a lot of people just stopped searching because they saw the rates going up. They didn't want to pay those rates, or they wanted to see what was going to happen. All of that's understandable, fine and good. What it did to the marketplace is it caused a lot of houses to pull down on their list price and get what was a more manageable price point for the marketplace. Does this mean that people have lost value in their homes from the 38% increase that we saw over the last few years? I don't think so. It does mean that people have that are listing their homes have to pay attention to current market information to best inform current market data to best inform their list price when they go to market. And that's why we're seeing right now a lot of really motivated sellers that are backing off of their price because they've been in the market for a long time, because there's fewer buyers out there for those homes. Doesn't mean we're not going to sell 30,000 homes this year. So all those people that are buying houses, you need to know this. You need to have this information in front of you so that you can be, again, just informed to make better decisions about what you're going to offer on a house, how you're going to make that offer, and how much that house should be worth, even beyond the sale, because you're probably going to be buying with some equity in this marketplace, which I think is a great place to be. It's a great position to be in, is to buy with some equity. Now, he's got all this information in here. He pulls information just a little bit on Ethan. He's got this website that he put together, NashvilleRealEstateData.com. I love all of this. He breaks it up by county in these different areas, Middle Tennessee active listings. This is all really good information. Really, to piece this together, best thing to do is just go and subscribe to him. I know I should be proud of my own YouTube channel at this point, but again, Ethan's got great information from an analytics standpoint. This is good. If you just want to get the nuts and bolts of it, maybe follow, subscribe here, because I'm going to follow this guy a little bit more. And I think I'm going to start doing my market analyses from the standpoint of how other people are interpreting this and try to piece this information together. And the other person that I wanted to bring into play here today is this old boy right here, Dave Ramsey. I like Dave. I really like Dave. Look at that little R branding on the bottom of his SM7. That's hysterical. I love that. I love that. Dave is a brilliant marketer. He's a brilliant man. Has helped a lot of people to overcome and become, high middle class, upper middle class, get into retirement, do a lot of great things with their money. So he offers a lot of really good advice. And he's a lover of real estate. And because he's here in this market, he understands this market really well. One of the things that they talk about in this video is something that I just talked about, which is that it's really important to not pay attention. If your media is telling you that prices, you're going to lose the value in your home, or prices are going to come way down, or project things like that out there in the air, these opinion-based projections and predictions, don't listen to them. You should probably be watching something else to get your information about what the real estate market is doing, because we have a really healthy marketplace in the US. I heard a lender once say that the American real estate market, just the real estate market, is a stronger marketplace, financial marketplace, than a lot of countries in the world. And it's absolutely true because of how healthy it is, how much wealth exchanges hands in these transactions. So to not trip over my words anymore, let's get into the nuts and bolts of Dave Ramsey here. Basically, this is a reaction video to, talk about what's happening in the real estate market in 2023. I apologize for my voice. Allergies, Nashville. Hey, woo. I live by the lake in Hendersonville. It's just kind of nuts. Anyway, so Dave Ramsey's still right about the housing market in 2023. I guess people are giving him flack about saying that the market's going to do well, or it's not going to crash or whatever. There hasn't been any evidence of a crash. We've just seen these prices come down as a result of buyers not being able to afford or not choosing to buy as a result of high interest rates. But that hasn't lost anybody any real significant value in this market, at least that I work in, that I'm aware of. I'm not hearing sellers or buyers, saying that they're buying a house. Nobody's getting any great deals still. It's still hard to flip properties, but you can get really good deals on like a move-in ready residential house, or one that needs a little bit of work, and buy with some good equity to then go and put work into it yourself or whatever. But that's not a crash. That's a pretty healthy average real estate market, actually. So one thing I'm not even going to get into the content of this video as much as I want to just call out this particular point, because I think this is something that speaks to a very general opinion. It is an opinion that that people have right now. A housing market crash is imminent due to the high number of individuals who purchased homes above the asking price despite the low interest rates. Now, that's an interesting term here. A crash is imminent because of the high number of people who purchased homes above asking price despite low interest rates. So I don't really, it seems like a contradictory point, because I would think instead of the word despite, maybe you could use because of the low interest rates. Maybe I'm not really understanding his point here, and that's probably my fault for interpreting it incorrectly. But the next thing he says is those buyers will find themselves in precarious situations as housing prices decline. Well, he's not wrong. If you buy your house for $100,000 over the asking price, you can expect to see a little bit of wiggle and maybe some value loss over the next few years as the market normalizes. Because during the pandemic, when those rates were really low, we were selling real estate and houses for a lot more than they were marketed for. My light just went out. That's hysterical. Whatever. So point is, if you're buying this real estate in that market, though, when it's that busy and that demand is that high, that doesn't mean that you're going to lose that value over time. What it means is that you're going to see your home price do this a little more than other people. Those couple of years of that major price increase were a market correction more so than anything. That was actually something I got from Dave Ramsey. He called it a market correction. And I think that he's right. I think that that's another loaded term, just like crash. But at the same time, I think that it's a more accurate word, even for what's happening now. I think we overcorrected a little bit, and now we are backing off and correcting further into a more manageable price point for where people's money is going to end up. Because again, we don't know what's going to happen yet, but I do think that we're in a very transitional period right now. And wherever money ends up after this, however much mortgages you have to spend on mortgages, whatever those interest rates become over time, is going to help dictate better what values or what price points are going to be, and then what values will be as we get into the future. Now, do I think houses are gonna lose their value? I really don't. Overall, the market in general, even though we're selling under list price, we're not selling for that much less than we've been selling for in the last year. If you look at the median price value, it's come down a little bit by maybe a couple of points, but call it 3, 4, call it 5%. I don't have the number right in front of me right now, but I know it's right around that number, a really low digit. That's nothing compared to the 38% increase we had in the last 2 years. So don't be scared about what's going to happen with home values. Don't be scared about buying a property with maybe a higher interest rate. Get the seller to buy a couple of points down on the front end. You could do a 2-1 buy down, which they just brought it back. What that means is you get 2 points off the first year. So if you're quoted a 6% interest rate, it's going to be 4% the first year, right? And then the 2-1 buy down, so it's 4% the first year. That's going to be 5% the second year. And then after that, that's when you're going to see the 6% interest rate kick in. It's going to save you, could save you a couple $100 a month on your mortgage payments for those first couple of years. That's a huge help for your budget. And over the next couple of years, it gives you a couple of years to then go and refinance, because there's no penalty to then refinance those notes and get a lower interest rate if a lower interest rate comes across the board in the next couple of years. Make sure that in 2 years you can afford that 6% interest rate that you're quoted, because we don't know what's going to happen, right? But outside of the data that we have and the information that we know, the best thing we do is make the best decisions for the bottom line, for us, for our families, right? That's what we're all here to do. So hopefully that helps to dissuade some of the fear that's really, I think, coming across in the last couple of months that I've seen. I kind of had to take a little bit of a break, honestly, from looking at a lot of this information and even posting videos, because I was afraid of being put in that bucket. More so, I didn't like what was going out there, what was trending, what people are paying attention to. I don't want to do any content around that. Now that I'm seeing people really reading this data, I found this Ethan Flynn guy, kind of going back to my Ramsey notes, and just other people, and I'll introduce other people as I find them. But really just go get good information for you. The information doesn't make you feel good, but it's good information that you can wrap your head around so that you understand what's happening. That's what you need to find when it comes to relevant market information. There's motivated sellers out there, so it's a good time to be a buyer. Doesn't mean it's a buyer's market, but there are some good deals. Not like those great steals. Again, if you're flipping houses, it's still kind of hard to find. But foreclosures are happening, and auctions are happening, things like that. So if you're an investor, perk your ears up, go looking for guys like me that are property scouting. I don't know. Other than that, hopefully this helps. It's kind of a long, interpretive video. I'll try to make them shorter in the future, but I'm going to do more like this in terms of a market update, just as a heads up. So thanks for paying attention. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. And you just have yourself a very lovely day, okay?